So the plot of the story is that Jack and Miss Voker drive to Florida to find Mr. Spiz. Well, first because Miss Voker just hates Mr. Spiz and she wants to kill him. And second, because the police found evidence that Mr. Spiz was a killer and they found the poisonous bottle in his drawer in his office. So they went after him. And there's another detective, Mr. Huffer, and he's Jack's friend's dad. He's like a CSI agent, kind of like dun 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 dun, right? And he also goes after Mr. Spitz, but he's always one step ahead of Jack and Miss Voker. And his plan is to make Jack and Miss Voker think that he's part of their team when he's not. He just wants to get the reward money and get all the fame. Like, hey, I captured Mr. Spiz, I killed him, I get the reward money, and I get the fame. That's all he wants. He doesn't care about the old ladies dying every single time. Miss Voker is now the only original Norvelt lady live. She's old, very old. And Mr. Huffer, he kind of convinces Jack to kill Miss Voker. Miss Voker, she's out of her mind. She's oh my gosh, we lost this again. And it happens so many times. Miss Voker's just oh my gosh, why am I so stupid, right? She drinks. And she's an old lady, she's 80 and she drinks. And she gets drugged or glow, right? And for some reason she has a gun. A gun where you shoot someone. And she sees Mr. Spiz on their way. And she just tries to shoot him, right? And then she just shoots the train, not Mr. Spiz. So while she's out of her mind, Jack has to decide whose side he wants to be on. So I feel really bad for Jack, but... So in the end, the end is the climax. It's kind of like The Giver. And towards the end, you get oh my gosh, we're excited. What's Mr. Spiz? What's Miss Voker gonna do? Who's Mr. Huffer? Really? What's Jack gonna do? It's so exciting. I just want to read more and more and more and more and more. I'm jumping around. And in the end, I'm not gonna tell you what happens because then I'll ruin the whole thing for you after what I just said. So there's one thing I'm gonna tell you. They find out who the killer is, and it's not Mr. Spiz. That's all I'm gonna tell you. And in the end, Miss Voker and Mr. Spiz get married. Eventually. And it turns out that Miss Voker hates Mr. Spiz just the way she loves him. She hates him this much, then she loves him this much. So that's, I guess, how old people show their way of love. And there's one thing interesting, well, not one thing, there's a lot of things interesting, but one thing that really, really stood out, it's that Miss Jack and Miss Voker are such good friends. Age doesn't matter when it comes to friendship. You could be 3 years old and someone could be 9 years old and you could still be friends if you really feel you can trust that person and you really put your heart into it. You don't have to be just friends with people your age. You don't have to be friends with people your other age. You could be friends with people who are any age as long as they deserve to be your friend. And Miss Voker is so sad, right? And she has mixed emotions. She doesn't know what to do. And Jack's there for her, always. When Jack has to make a decision, Miss Voker is there for him. I feel Jack is more than there for her because he's kind of forced to. He's grounded. He's still grounded after 2 books. And they run into this fountain of youth, and they say that if you drink the water from the fountain of youth, don't worry, it's clean. Then you get younger. And Miss Voker drinks it because she doesn't want to die. She wants to keep Eleanor Roosevelt's words in her, and she wants to keep living. So she drinks that. And Jack, he's that stuff doesn't really make you young. And I don't know why he said that, but he did. So Miss Voker's yeah, I know, but at least it makes me feel better, right? And my point of saying all this is that friendship doesn't have a deadline. It doesn't, you could die and your friend will still be there. You just your soul is eternal. It just depends about how you want to live your life the way it is, and what friends you want to make, and what are your choices. I'm talking a lot. And I learned a lot of things from this book, even though it's kind of like a criminal book. I learned that my friends, they're like 7th graders, same age as me, and when I meet like old people, I get like disgusted. I'm sorry, like I have to admit it. Like they're like wrinkly, and to think that I'm gonna be like them is just whoa. Like the thought of it is just like disgusts my whole mind. And then I read this book, Dead End in Norvelt. Not so much. It didn't really change my life a lot, but it did. And this is the one that really, really, really changed my mind. I realized that no matter what age you are, you still have to be nice. Like, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like honesty. It lasts forever. Like, well, you don't last forever, but your soul does. In friendship, age, gender, religion, race, it doesn't matter. Just throw it all in the trash can. What really matters is what you share and your common interests, your common beliefs, and what you really bond with each other with. Like, you have to have at least like one thing in common. And it's like these two maple leaves. Well, I think they're maple. It's like when they go together, they're perfect. They're just like a red and brown. And nothing can rip it except a stronger force. That wasn't a good example, was it? Forget I said that. And I hope to Miss Volker and Miss Jack, and Jack, not Miss Jack, and Jack, that I hope that I find a friend who's so tolerant, who's tolerant to age, gender, religion, race. And I guess I'm sort of like that, but I don't really have any boy friends. So I think I need to improve on that. And I hope you get to be so amazingly tolerant, like some people too.